Hi there, friends. You know what? I'm really going to enjoy making this video because you know what? Time is ticking for Watchtower. The heat is on for sure in so many ways. You know, the countdown is on. It's only a matter of time before the Watchtower sinks and falls. You know, I really think their glory days, you could say, are over, which would have been, the 20th century. I would say mostly between like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. Yeah, so yeah, the 20th century mostly. But you know what? It's going up in smoke. They can't hide forever. You know, they can't run away forever. They can't deny forever. You know, it makes me think of a couple things. The biblical example of the house that was built on a rock foundation, which, Watchtower, I think it might have seemed that way to them, at least at first, but I think time has shown that no, their house was built on sand, and boy is the rain pouring to make that house fall. And another example, it's like all the scandals and XJWs coming forward and people speaking out against them. I think it's, and how Watchtower handles it is very poor and crappy. They're like cook and kitchen staff that try to put out a grease fire by pouring water on it. Which, for anybody who's unfamiliar, throwing water on a grease fire is the worst thing you can do. Well, you know what, sorry, Watchtower, you're not as special as you've made yourself out to be. You are not the only true religion. You are not the only people preaching the life-saving message of the good news. No, that's dishonest, because if you were really honest, the message would be, you need to join our cult or die at Armageddon. You know, as more and more members wake up each day and week, it's becoming more and more clear that the fog is clearing, that fear, obligation, and guilt. The fog really is clearing, and the sunshine comes through and all that light, and it comes to light that you are really just a high control, manipulating cult, a false religion who do not have the truth. No. Because what you have really been doing is twisting the truth, adding and deleting verses, making up your own rules and doctrine, and yet you claim you're the one true religion. You can't make stuff up like that. Like, yeah. And what you don't agree with or necessarily want to preach, you can't keep sweeping it under the rug. You don't get to pick and choose what you want. That's not how it works. Throughout the 20th century and even the 1800s, when Charles Sage Russell and the Bible students were getting everything going, those were times when, like technology-wise, radio and television and movies and all that didn't exist yet, or were very new and just nowhere near what they are today. So, it was generally easier to hide information and to choose to not publish like certain information. But like, even I grew up in a time, like when I was a kid at least, for the most part, if I did do research for a school project, it was all encyclopedias and whatever I could find at the library, until the internet came. And I'd still say it took time for the information to really build up and be added more of information that you could find over the internet. When things were like that, it was much easier for Watchtower to exercise control in that kind of manner over their members. But you know what? Those days are gone. With the internet nowadays, and especially the age of social media, and you have YouTube, podcasts, radio programs, forums, groups, lots of ways for people to connect, and ex-members to do research and connect with other ex-members. And it's easier to find out the real truth about the Watchtower. It's, I tell you, I have even found a few people that have made videos exposing Watchtower who aren't even ex-members. So it's not all just ex-JWs, it's also people doing it who were never Jehovah's Witnesses. And I found a couple of them that were really good. Like, wow, like they learned more than it really is true. They dish out information that people who are Jehovah's Witnesses would not even be aware of. There's a bunch of stuff I know more now as an ex-witness about the religion than I did when I was a witness. That is very true. In the past, there were, I think in the 70s and 80s, there were a lot of, in the 90s, there were ex-members starting to come forward who gave out their who put out their testimonies and published books and got their stories out there. But with the advance of the internet, like it's really taken off in recent years. It's really taken off. Like social media and like things like YouTube are the perfect platform to be able to share this kind of information, to be able to share our voices, our thoughts, and expose the Watchtower for what they really are. Because and just another thing that just makes it like perfection, it's easier with like cell phones and tablets. It's easier nowadays for people who want to learn this stuff to watch it and read it in private. Like, easier to do it than trying to sit at a computer that's, the monitor and the big, like a big clunkily desk computer. So I'd say it gives an advantage in that way too, definitely. Watchtower, like they're not lovers of truth. See what they've chosen to do? They have chosen to lie, deny, and cover up anything that's negative about their religion, and rather than admit it's true, like, rather than admit their faults, they'd rather deny and cover it up and just ignore it, which is kind of a shitty thing to do, I gotta say. Then you're not lovers of truth. You know, like nowadays, I'm loving it. There's more and more XJWs popping up all the time out there with books and videos and lots of other things, radio programs, and it's awesome. You know, and you know, I just think too that the Watchtower is like, they're really sinking. They're losing members. All these things, they are losing members big time. Oh yeah, like, it's a good question for them would be, like, some food for thought. I could say, how many of your members are really just PMO? How many of your members are just really just feel trapped in because of family ties, or you know, or they just building up the courage and the strength to leave, perhaps? Like, some of your members, I don't think there's the faith and loyalty as you would like to think that there is. And you know, like, all these child sex abuse and pedophile cases coming forward, there's more and more all the time. We know Watchtower has chosen to pay a daily fine rather than to admit or even apologize about, you know, there's only so many times you can settle out of court or refuse to show up. And you know, like, over the years, there are so many people that have suffered greatly from, like, the Watchtower and the elders denying and dismissing all these cases when they try to come forward. Like, wow. You know, just dismiss and don't believe them and just push them away as liars and troublemakers. And you know what, it's really going to come back to bite them. And I think it is, definitely. You know, one of the best things of recent years was the Australian Royal Commission. That was awesome. Like, you know, you've caused so much pain to so many people, and it's time that things get fixed. And as for the ministry, like, wow, who would have thought that you would ever see a day when there is no more, or at least what could best be called right now a temporary pause of the door-to-door ministry. You know, I truly believe the letter writing and the phone witnessing can only go so far. I think in the long run, it's not going to be as effective. Because you know what? A letter is easier to throw out and ignore. You know, more junk mail. I'd say it's worse than junk mail, but you know what? The phone witnessing, yeah, if people really don't want you calling, they'll just... I know so many people that if they don't recognize the number, they won't even answer the phone. And you know what? It's so easy to just block the phone number too. I think there might be a novelty to it at first, but I think most people's response will be still of not interested. And you know what? Like, that's another way that Watchtower's glory days are over. Like, even when I was in, there was 4 magazines a month, thicker too, lots of books, I was still in when I was noticing as they were switching more to videos around 2014, they were starting to publish less and less books, physical books and literature in that way. Plus the fact that how many of who would have thought that the spiritual, all this spiritual food that is the truth can expire, that it's old light and we have to throw it out. Since when does truth expire? Should I have had my books in the fridge for all this time? You know, I can't say it enough. They're reducing literature over the years is definitely a sign that they're struggling, because that's something you do to save money. You know, just not to mention that COVID has allowed them to, it's a pandemic that has allowed them to save more money by selling off Kingdom Halls and other property and just switch to all Zoom meetings, which again is kind of a bonus for those waking up in PMOs, because you don't have to go to the meeting in person. You can just sit and watch, like it's easier to zone out and just pretend you're paying attention. Although it's harder to have a reason to miss the meetings, I've heard in some cases, but I think it's generally easier to fade and try to exit the religion. You know what? I'm just wondering, like, are they ever gonna get back to their Kingdom Halls? It's something that I'm very interested in finding out and keeping an eye on. Are they ever going to go back to their Kingdom Halls? Are they ever going to go back to the door-to-door work? But I'm loving it right now. At least in my area, they've even stopped doing the carts. You don't see the carts out around. I could see them possibly restarting that in the future, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But just sending a lot of their Bethelites home in recent years, that's another way they're saving money. And definitely. And you know what? And just how we've seen an organization that said they would never become all right for money, and nowadays they're begging for money. I've noticed in some of your friends, some of your other videos that you've been putting out, like they're really begging for money. Oh man, and that there's a sign. There is a sign that they are struggling and they are falling. It's this media center they're planning to build, I think, is yet a last-ditch effort to appeal to members and keep others in. Frankly, I don't know. I don't see it having a lot of success. All the movies I've seen over the years, and I think a lot of you are probably the same, I've only watched them because we have to, or because, you're sitting at the convention, you have to watch them. Or part in the, was it the service meeting? Sometimes they would have questions for the videos and you would have to watch it. Besides that, they were never movies that I would, hey, you know what, I think I'll watch this tonight. No, their videos are cheesy, highly manipulative, always the same thing over and over again. Even just the fact that I think to a degree they choose actors based more on that they're eye candy than really their acting ability. And even, man, whenever they dress people up for those Bible times, going back, all the fake beards and the costumes. Like, it's, oh man, I don't think it's, they're crap. They're crap. You know, I think, but you know what, like I said, you know what, like, the smoke is getting thicker, the fire keeps burning hotter. You know, I think the fall of Watchtower is definitely, oh, it's not a matter of if, but when. And I, for one, cannot wait to see it fall and collapse and crumble. You know, hang that going out of business sign. And I say that because I want revenge, or no. No, friends, I say it more because their false religion, they have told a lot of lies, denied a lot, hurt a lot of people. They are not the truth, as they claim. And they need to go away. Anyway, that's all I wanted to bring out for this video. Please, please like and subscribe if you like it. I would appreciate it greatly. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys all have a good week. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.